Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description and every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 10, the Season 1 finale of Apple TV's Shrinking, entitled Closure. Proper title for once, and one that makes sense, as everyone gets some form of closure in this episode, but I mean, it's also true that closure is I'm assuming, a pretty popular term in the world of therapy, likely uttered quite often by therapists dealing with patients who are dealing with some sort of trauma that they need to get past. So, you know, I feel like closure is good for, as a title, good for the characters in this episode, but also kind of, you know, it fits in within the theme of the show. So, yeah, it kind of works. But, you know, I said on Facebook when I started watching this episode that I thought it was really only going to be a matter of how well this show would stick the landing. And, I mean, I was right. Like, this was a great episode. This is a great finale. Like, and obviously those two are kind of the same thing. But what I mean is, like, this was a great episode on its own, but also serving the purpose as a finale. I thought it did a good job in that regard as well. It was a great season. You know, I hope this show takes off for Apple like Ted Lasso did, because I really like to see this show get more shine, particularly the actresses that play Gabby and Liz, since, I mean, we know Harrison Ford is going to gobble up all the attention anyway. But, you know, I'd like to see a little bit more of a spotlight shown on them. I think this show is it's almost a little too similar to Ted Lasso to make me feel like it would take off just as much. But in a world where Ted Lasso is about to leave, this could really fill in that place quite nicely. But I want to start with Gabby and Liz, because I'm going to continue to pat myself on the back, and I'm also going to anoint myself the founding member of the Gabby and Liz fan club, because, you know, as soon as those two did a scene together, I came on here in front of you guys, and I like being able to say some shit that is verifiable on the internet. And I don't remember what I said, but it was something to the effect of like, you know, I kind of like these two together. I think they should do more scenes together, whatever the case may be. And ever since then, we've seen both of those characters evolve individually, but the pairing of the two of them has been one of the best aspects of this show. You know, I really loved Liz in this episode. I can't speak highly enough about the Liz character because it's so interesting. I did not like her at the beginning, and I wouldn't necessarily say she's my favorite character now, but she's like, it's her or it's Gabby. Like, it's one of them two. And well, the husband, Derek, I mean, shit. But as far as people we see often, it's between Liz and Gabby. And I love Liz in this episode being vulnerable and being nervous about asking Sean to help with his the catering business that she's funding. But you know, she's all super quiet. Like, I would really enjoy that. I thought that was kind of cute. Like, oh, okay. But I like that the whole thing, because the whole time I was like, Sean doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to be a dick about this. Like, I feel like he'll probably be cool about it. Like, why is she so upset? And then she asked Sean. He is cool about it. And then she felt bad for doubting that he would be. And I thought that was awesome. And that's kind of realistic, right? If you're actually like a good person, like, and especially dealing with someone given Sean's past, you're probably gonna feel guilty by feeling like, he might chew me out. I don't know if I want to do this. And then he turns out to be cool about it. You probably feel like a dick. Like, he's been cool this whole time. Why did I think this would be the moment he all of a sudden be a dick? And you kind of feel guilty about it. And I like that. Like that's how a good person is. And we just don't have a lot of those people around nowadays. So I appreciated seeing that. But the best scene, though, the scene where Liz finds out that Gabby and Jimmy were fucking. Man. But this isn't just a Liz scene, though. No. This is a Derek scene. And I loved everything Derek did in this episode. It's a shame that we're at the finale and I'm just now calling him Derek instead of Jefferson. But but I love like him saying that he was watching them have sex. Him saying he was proud of Jimmy. Saying to Liz, like, I bet you wish you peed on the balcony now. And then she's judging him. And then she goes, did you film it? I'm like, what? How are you gonna judge him and then ask that question? And then he goes, did I film it? I'm not a pervert. like that's the line for pervert. You can watch two people fucking outside in the rain, probably had his dick in his hand because he's peeing. But the line for pervert is when he breaks out his camera and starts filming it. You were pervert long before that, Derek. But like, all that's implied, whatever. It was so good. It was so funny. I love that scene. I've been saying all season that Jefferson from Married with Children has been great. Ted McGinley? And it's weird that I have not looked up his name, but I'm like remembering it from the fucking Married with Children opening credits. But I'm pretty sure it's Ted McGinley. He usually gets like one scene per episode where he's pretty funny. And it felt like this episode, like they wanted to pay homage to like an OG. Because he's had so many great moments in this episode. Rocks aren't the only thing she knows how to polish. Like, what the fuck? D-Man's gonna be a B-Man. I thought that was fun. Him pointing Sean to the special restroom with the heated toilet. Man, it was so many good Derek moments in this episode. I couldn't even write them all down. But I love that they kind of gave Ted McGinley an opportunity to really shine in this finale when normally he's been getting like a scene a week. And he fucking crushed it, man. Hilarious. Moving on to Paul. Paul returns from his visit with Meg, and he actually thanks Jimmy for making him do it in the first place and offered to hug him, which I thought was like, wow, that was really, like, the thank you would have been enough. Like, he didn't have to do the hug, but he's feeling generous. And then later, Liz learns from Gabby that Paul wouldn't even write Gabby's recommendation letter. She was going to have Gabby write it. Well, you guys know. We talked about it last week. So her and Jimmy go to chew Paul out. Liz does so, calling Jimmy a pussy with extra emphasis multiple times for not having her back, which he eventually does. But like I just love the ferocity with which she called him a pussy. Like that was good. But then the other great part of the moment happens. The other great moment of the episode happens. After she leaves, Paul just looks at Jimmy and he's like, what kind of person hugs and tells? And I love the way he delivered that. Because if he just said, what kind of person hugs and tells, it wouldn't be as funny. The fact that he paused before the hugs and tells, I thought that was like really good. Like that really just put it a little over the edge. I thought that was really funny. Paul's a good guy though. He shows up at Gabby's interview. He's ready to give her a full in-person endorsement, only to find out she's already been offered the job. But I thought it was well played on the part of the show to have Paul say his piece anyway. Like, they could have had Paul come in there, say his thing, have him convince the guy to give Gabby the job while fucking Full House music plays. But they decided to do a bit differently, and I appreciated that. Like, that was a nice little thing where it's like, we're going to subvert it, but we're still going to do what, we're going to do the same thing, but we're just going to switch it up a little bit so it's not the thing you've seen 8 million other times before, and I appreciate that. Wrapping up with Alice and Jimmy. Alice is mad at Jimmy for trying to move on from Tia, his wife. She calls him a selfish asshole. But then she also realized that there's aspects of her mother that she's forgetting. I think she said like she forgets what her laugh sounds like. So Alice's story ends this season with her sharing these memories of her mother with Sean. The memories include a story about these shoes. I think she called them the hot ass shoes. She ends up wearing the hot ass shoes to Brian's wedding, finally getting past everything, dancing with Jimmy. I think Jimmy saying like, here's your mother's stuff, and kind of allowing Alice to move on at her own pace. I think helped her. Like her being able to go out there and what her mom's dress, her mom's shoes, have a good time. That might have actually helped her kind of, move past what she's dealing with as well. So I felt like that was a good ending for Alice. And speaking of Jimmy, as I predicted, his speech at the wedding was quite nice, but it wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be, or as I expected it to be, because I was a bit concerned at the beginning of it, because he's opened up and he's solely talking about like his dead wife and how that impacted him. And I'm like, this is Brian's wedding. This isn't about you. And also dead wives is probably not a good wedding topic, but I like how he did eventually transition into making it about Brian and his husband, and how they wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Tia, and how he's got all these friends here and all there to support him. That whole thing, it was a nice moment. Like I said, it wasn't what I expected, because I expected something like, I expected them to go for like the tearjerker moment, but they didn't quite go for that. They just went for something a little nice and sentimental. And like I said, I like how they transitioned from it feeling like Jimmy was making it about him to him actually making it about Brian and his husband. I don't know. I can't remember Brian's husband's name. I also liked, but was also unsurprised, because I'm pretty sure I even said this in my last video, that the dad was ultimately going to decide to stand in the wedding, which he did. And I even said on Facebook while I was watching the episode, I'm like, see, Dad, no one thinks any less of you for standing there while that happened. Like, you didn't have to make it a whole fucking thing. You just stood. Everybody there is obviously tolerant of a gay wedding. That's why they're attending. Like, no one's thinking any different than you standing there, so you don't have any reason to feel weird about it. I don't know. It was a lot for him. He made it a way bigger deal than it had to be. Like, they didn't ask you to like kiss a man with him. Like, you just had to stand there while the shit happened. But anyway, of course, the best part of the wedding, again for me, was of course Liz correcting Jimmy's grammar, which was a callback to my favorite moment, probably of the season. That the moment that was last week, right? The whole thing with him getting mad about saying she was marriage, and he go, oh man, that was so good. But yeah, I don't know. This episode felt like it was for me. Like the extra Derek stuff, going really hard with giving Liz some good stuff. The callback to my favorite scene. It felt like it did feel like this episode was kind of for me. And then of course it ends with Grace killing her husband. Who cares? But that was pretty. Like, did you guys saw that coming, right? Like because she said a thing like, oh, it's a good thing we don't go hiking because I'd crack his head or push his head open, push him so his head crack open. Whatever. She implies that she's gonna kill him, and then Jimmy doesn't say anything about that. He just kind of moves on from it, and I'm like, when you're having the main character downplay the fact that one of his patients just said she'd kill her husband, to me that translated as like she's probably gonna end up doing it. And then we see them hiking. I'm like, okay, well, I already know this is happening, and sure enough, it does. But like I said, great season. I really enjoyed this show. I don't know if it's going to end up in my top 10. It's going to be in it presently. But I mean, we got a lot of year left. There's a lot of time for 8 things to come along and push it off. So I guess we'll see. But I want to close with a couple thoughts. Mason, Paul's grandson, saying, I wish I had Parkinson's, after Paul told him that it gets him out of like smiling and talking to people. It was so funny to me because those things appeal to me too. So if I was a kid, I'd have probably said the same thing. Like, straight up, if I got Parkinson's, I gotta talk to motherfuckers? I bet. But obviously I wouldn't say that now. I also like when Mason asked why his doctor was there, and he's like, because we're having sexual relations, which wasn't that funny. It was funny, but it wasn't as funny as the fact that he forced the smile right after it, which was a callback to the scene the 5 seconds ago when he was talking about how Parkinson's gets him out of smiling. So I thought that was a nice little touch to have him like throw the smile on at the end of the comment. I was initially, so do you guys remember the scene where Jimmy and Brian are walking? They're hiking. Jimmy's talking about how Alice said something about how great he looks, or something about him losing weight to get women. Brian's hiking. He's got his shirt off. Jimmy comments on that. And then Jimmy gets a text or something, and he's like, I gotta go. And he runs off. And then we later find out that he ran off so he could go down on Gabby. And I'm like, man, you ran off on your homeboy to... I get it. Like, I was like Alonzo. Have you guys seen the Alonzo Borden gif where he's like mad, and then he's like, like, Chase, well, okay. Like, he sees it. I'm like, that's how it was. I'm like, man, you left your boy for that? Okay. I loved when they're talking about when Gabby and Liz are talking about Gabby having sex with Jimmy, and they're getting into all this detail. And she's like, yeah, I can't remember how she worded it, but she says eventually she's gonna work her way into putting stuff in his butt. And Liv's like, I put so much stuff in Derek's butt. Like they made it, like they changed it, and she's like, are you being serious? She says, I'm like, no, I'm just kidding, but I would if I could. Something to that effect. I kind of wish they hadn't added that, because I feel like the sentence was great, and then the idea of the Derek character allowing that is also great. I wish they hadn't added on the part about her lying, but it was still funny. And then, of course, to close out the season, Paul's continued misuse of the term raw dog. How you come here and raw dog me? Like, I kind of want, don't you guys kind of want to do that? Like, not raw dog somebody. I mean, I got 4 kids. I know all about it. But like, use that term incorrectly. Like, I kind of want to do that. Like, going to places and be like, yeah, why you raw dogging me right now? Like, people like, what? Like, do you know what that means? Like, I don't know. I feel like that'd be fun. So, let me know what you thought about the show. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Let me know what you thought about the season. And I'll in the comments. And I will see you guys, I don't know, for season 2. I'll definitely be here to cover it. I'm sure you'll be here to watch it. Until then, peace.